Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Feliz martes, feliz terça-feira. All right, kind of business as usual on a Tuesday. Added some step-ups back in and they were nice and easy, which is cool because there for a while they were kind of a struggle because of the calf. The calf seems to be really now around 90 to 95%, and that's good news. Like I said yesterday, knee is doing pretty well. Lack of sensation, but that seems to be coming back. Just some like superficial nerve damage. The squats today kept them kind of light, really focused on form, keeping the bar tight, elbows tucked in, and just good explosion through the motion. Wasn't worried about anything, so I didn't even tape but the last set. A lot of times I'll tape pretty much all the work sets and then call it down here late. But no, today I just taped the last one and said it'll be good enough. And it was nice and quick, easy, looked good on tape, and I'm happy with it. Reminds me of, as we gain training history instead of aging, sometimes, and I've said this before in terms of like PR every day, that kind of stuff. The idea that we need to always put weight on the bar to show progress, that's a false narrative. You really just need to show improvement in some other metric, or in any metric, I should say. It could be bar speed, it could be time between sets, how it feels after the end of each set, the amount of time it takes for you to do the entire session. There's lots of ways to kind of gauge your progress on your training. It's not always just what the weight on the bar is, because that can force you, because it is a single dimension of measurement, that can force you to potentially, push yourself too hard just for the sake of only having that one point of reference to measure and calibrate whether or not you think you're making incremental gains. A long time ago, right, there were no micro plates and, a lot of these chips and small plates. You just had like big plates, like the 45s and 25s, or in kilograms, 20 and 10 kilogram plates, and that's what a lot of gyms had, because hey, that's just easy to keep around. So in order to progress to the next level, you had to build up bar speed and velocity and reps across your sets, and then you're like, okay, now I'm ready. And then you kind of you build reps and bar speed and all that stuff again, then you increment again. And in a lot of cases, that's similar to some other old school training philosophies, like I think it's Doug Hepburn and some other folks, where you just kind of stick with something, build up your volume, and you get used to it until this thing is easy. Whatever it is easy, and you go to the next step, and you build from there. That can be tough, right? Because those leaps get harder and harder, but it's progressive overload nonetheless. But it forces you to think about the other metrics involved in terms of weight training. Again, bar speed, time between sets, how things feel afterwards. I'm not saying you need to put a number to it or anything like that. Was it easy or was it hard? How do you feel today? Those kinds of things are important. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I did 5x5 at 185 on the safety squat bar to the 12-inch box. It was easy. I could have done more, but today I was like, I just want to focus on bar speed, kind of get myself back under and get used to the motion again, and not tax anything too bad. Keep my hips happy, keep my knees happy, so that everything else is kind of happy. Because there's a tax that comes with lifting closer to the limit, even if it is light. You do get I get an accumulation of inflammation in like my knees and ankles and hip. And, makes things uncomfortable. And, I don't always need to push myself to that limit. So anyhow, it's enough about the training stuff. Hopefully it's, again, insightful. The idea is that I've been doing this stuff a long time, and there's good ways to objectively think about your training in somewhat of a measurable way. Again, time between sets, you can kind of gauge whether things are hard or easy. You can obviously gauge bar speed. There are devices to do that. But you can do it just from video as well. All right, so it's enough of that. Have a great Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Feliz martes, feliz terça-feira. And don't forget, get into those gyms, hit those goals, and get swole. Peace.